Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Anvil Gladiator. The Gladiators were developed to bridge the gap between fighters and bombers. Their versatile modular construction options allow the Gladiator to perform a wide range of missions, from offensive and defensive counter-strikes to policing and tactical air reconnaissance. It can change roles while in flight and can even act in several capacities simultaneously. Since their introduction into UEE service, Gladiators have participated in distinction in military and law enforcement operations in numerous theatres around the Empire and beyond. Gladiators have been used in the following: strategic space-to-ground bombing runs, Operation Forestall is a reference there, support for long-range squadron missions, modified CNC and target assignment for multi-squadron combat scenarios, aggressive environmental recalibration, capital ship torpedo strikes, stealth operations, supply drops through enemy-controlled territory, blockade running, and finally law enforcement high-value target interception. This multi-role capability will continue to evolve as the Gladiator's systems are further developed. Whether you're targeting single-seat fighters or capital ships, the T-8A Gladiator's prime function is a heavy ordnance platform. Though the specific loadout can be customised based on a mission parameter, the Gladiator can transport size 5 ordnance via the interior bay, while the wings can be outfitted in a variety of configurations to overcome any combat scenario your Gladiator may come across. It is one of the easiest ships of its kind to add new weapons to. This quickly makes it a favourite among weapon manufacturers as they can quickly and easily use the Gladiator for development. So the Anvil Gladiator, quite an impressive little ship. Designated as a bomber, I would say it's a light bomber, but it has proven itself in various roles. They do actually call it a multi-role ship from Anvil. That's their sort of label for this ship. And it's a ship that you don't see flying too often in and around the verse. It has enough room for you and a friend to cause more than enough damage for a ship of this size. It does come equipped with 4 size 5 torpedoes, which is a nice touch. Aesthetically, I actually really like the look of this ship. This does look sci-fi, and this ship does look like it belongs in the verse. It looks menacing, it looks troublesome, it looks poignant. It also kind of slightly resembles a bull with the turret guns above the cockpit, sort of resembling horns. I like that look, but the wing design and the winglets, this thing does look pretty venomous. With the size 5 torpedoes and numerous missiles, it's got plenty of missiles. The pilot has a lot of options. If he isn't running with a friend or a gunner, you can still take down your prey relatively easy, and almost certainly bounty hunting is an option for this ship. Now, the Gladiator does actually have some interesting features. Whether or not these get implemented, we'll wait and see. But it's actually a modular design that greatly enhances the Gladiator's ability to adapt and makes the spacecraft development process very flexible. In short, it's a ship that will always be current. So it's a modular ship, which is cool. And I'm assuming that's what that big dome is on the top, similar to that of the Hornet. The other interesting thing is defense. For the projectiles that get through, a combination of Anvil's proprietary titanium polymer and foam plating offers a baseline protection against ballistic impacts and keeps your Gladiator flying. That's interesting because we know they're tinkering with the ballistics and we haven't got armour in game yet, so this could end up being a little tank, and I hope it does end up being in that sort of line, a tiny little tank that flies around, because I think the Gladiator needs bringing out of its shell. I still feel like it's not used enough. It kind of sits in the darkness by itself. It's a very rare ship to see this piloted, yet alone with 2 people in it. So there's a lot of potential here in this ship, in my opinion. So as you can see, it is clearly packing some punch. We have 4 size 5 torpedoes in the interior bay. It has an excellent animation. We have our 2 laser repeaters and 8 missiles, all at the disposal of the pilot. Obviously, to capitalise on the DPS you wish to put out, you would probably want a turret gunner. The problem with this ship is, well, why wouldn't I take a Hurricane and or the RSI Scorpius? I think that's the main issue with this ship. are those two competitors just seem to be way more competitive and popular. So I do hope that they implement a tanky side to this little ship with that ballistic protection that Anvil brag about in the brochure. I tried to think of this as an A-10, an Su-25 Frogfoot, or even the World War II IL-2, which was literally a flying tank. I would like this ship to fulfill that role, and I think its popularity would increase. It will be interesting to see what CIG do with the modularity, and hopefully when they implement the armour, I think this ship will come to the forefront and start being used a bit more. I would like to see it in the verse more for sure. I'd like to fight them more as well. It's very interesting, this ship. Guys, let me know what you think about the Gladiator, and maybe why you don't have one, or if you do have one, why do you have one? I'm interested to know, so please feel free to let me know. So the animations are really cool. We know it's got a very adequate DPS output. It's got some really cool engines. You know, I actually think that these animations for this particular set of engines are probably some of the best in the game. I just think they look really cool, and they do resemble what you might find on a modern jet fighter today, so it hasn't lost that touch. Right, let's now discuss components and weapons. Okay, so let's take a look at the stock components you will find on your brand new shiny Gladiator. Whether you buy one in-game with Alpha UEC or with real money, you will find the following. The pilot has access to 2 size 3 Panthers. Those weapons are also found on the turret itself. And then we come down to all the various missiles. We have 4 Tempest 2s and 4 Ignites. So that's 8 missiles, which is pretty tasty. Then we have the 4 size 5 torpedoes. These are Stalkers, and they do 17,092 damage. It takes around 2 to knock out a Valkyrie, but it might have just been a bad shot for me, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure, but it did take 2 torpedoes to sink a Valkyrie, if that's what you're trying to figure out at the moment. How many torpedoes would it take to kill what? That's the sort of ballpark figure. Your mileage may vary with the torpedoes. It comes with 2 size 1 shields, which are both military all-stops. I would probably swap those for an FR66 and a Palisade. There's a Regulus stock power plant I'd probably swap for the JS300. We had 2 coolers, which I would probably swap for Snowblinds, I think it is, and the beacon I would almost certainly swap for the Atlas Quantum Drive to give me that extra range. So overall, the ship has fairly respectable stock components. Not really any complaints from me here. It'd be how you wanted to tailor the ship, so fairly impressive for its size. The civilian model of the Gladiator appeals to those that want to explore the verse with a bit of added security. Supporting a maximum of 2, the Gladiator is perfectly equipped to explore and fight without a wingman. The civilian model also allows pilots to choose between an extra cargo hold or a bomb bay. So that might be another aspect to the ship that could be quite interesting, a miniature cargo hold. Bunker raiding could be interesting with the Gladiator. Doing basic raiding with the Gladiator also sounds pretty appealing with the cargo bay. We'll have to see what direction CIG take this ship, because again, I really do feel like it needs bringing to the forefront, and there's a lot of potential within this ship. It looks brilliant, it handles okay, not the fastest out there, but we'll quickly cover some of the stats. So it's a crew of 1 to 2, role light bomber, costs around 1,954,500 Alpha UEC. You can't rent this ship. It has a length of 22.5 meters, a width of 22.5, 6 meters in height, combat speed 151, maximum speed 983 meters per second, and it has a mass of 88,408 kilograms. Internally then, the cockpit is actually a really nice place to sit. I do like the cockpit. It's very nice and tidy, easy to read, nothing untoward. The turret is also just as well laid out and easy to read and manipulate and reach the buttons, etc. But there is an aspect to this turret which I think is pretty cool. The gun depression is superb. Granted, you're not going to be protected underneath, but as you can see, when it's landed and parked, if you were to raid somewhere and have your friend covering you, the gun depression is going to allow you to chew up infantry like nobody's business, whether you're raiding or just being a nuisance to pirates. I think that's a really cool aspect of this ship. Okay guys, what we will do now is take a tour around the Anvil Gladiator. I like to do this because it gives us a sense of scale. And as you can see, it has a very interesting landing configuration. 4 gear, one at the front, one at the rear, and then we have the 2 extra ones that fold into the wings, and the wings themselves close and envelop that landing gear, so you won't even notice them in flight, which is a really cool animation. We do have the wings as well, where you'll find all your hard points and weapon deployments with the laser repeaters and the missiles. These wings also will help in aerodynamic flight, of course, in atmosphere. Moving towards the rear of the ship, oh, just underneath the wings as well, you can see there's 2 thrusters there, 4 in total. As we make our way around the back, sorry, you can see that this ship has some more interesting sort of stabilizers and winglets that sort of fold over the engines, which is a nice touch. And it does look, the rear of the ship does kind of remind me of the Hawk in some respects. Well, it is the same company. And we have the 2 really cool engines. As I've said, I really enjoy the animation of those engines. I think they look really well done, really cool. Moving our way around then, it is of course symmetrical. We have the 2 thrusters again, our weapon station platforms, and the gear that fold in. The level of detail here is ridiculous. You see all the struts and sort of hydraulics. If that's what they use, who knows, in 1,000 years in the future, but all very cool stuff. And then here you really do, me personally, I feel like it does look like a bull. It just looks like horns with those 2 turret guns. It's really cool looking. Menacing look the Gladiator has. Let's hope that this ship can be brought to the forefront, because I think it's awesome. Right, let's take a look inside then. So we can open exterior and jump in the turret seat. It's the back panel behind the door. Kind of teleported in there, so I think that needs a little bit of attention. I think that's a bug. We'll turn the turret on. As you can see, excellent rotation and excellent gun depression. One of the best turrets I've seen that's on top of a ship, to have that close a proximity. Anyone gets too close, you can vaporize them. I like that aspect of this ship. So it's a very good turret. No complaints here from me. Nicely laid out, everything's easy to read. Good stuff, good stuff. Lots of potential with that turret. I think a lot of people could have fun with it. Now we'll hop into the pilot seat. As you can see, the seat comes down to the ground. You hop in, and we're in. Now I do like, normally struts are an issue, but I actually like them on this ship. That sort of narrow vision at the front. The MFDs are perfect. I've got 0 complaints with the MFDs. They're nicely laid out, easy to read. Everything's at your fingertips. It's not too cramped in here. It's a HOTAS system that the vessel uses. But I do actually like those struts, and you can see the guns overhanging the cockpit here as well. We have like a sunroof as well, if you could call it that. But visibility, no complaints. But I do like that sort of narrow, because it intensifies your concentration on what you're firing at. And being a light bomber, that kind of reinforces that feel. So yeah, fairly impressive in here, very clean, and I enjoyed this ship. So there we go guys, that was my video on the Anvil Gladiator. If you enjoyed the video, you know what buttons to press. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I of course will have more Star Citizen content en route to your location very soon. So thanks for watching guys, take care, cheers.